Hey guys, BK from B.K and the Saw Dogs here. It's actually a nice day, so I'm outside with the crew, with the cat, Saw Cat Noodle. I've got Molly May, my foreman, and the boss lady, and Daisy Ray. Ray! Come here! And I got the whole crew here. But what I noticed last night, this is the 5th or 6th one in the series of tips and tricks of the ink splot board. What I noticed last night is I needed to take just the epoxy part, like right here. I needed to take this down just another 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to do that with my rigid. Same thing that I did before. I'm just going to use 60 to break it down, and then we'll go back up from there. But we'll show you. I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll show you. So now you can actually see I've actually hit one of those micro bubbles that I'm talking about. I mean, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but it's right here. It's right there. You can see that sucker right there, and that drives me crazy. So I am gonna take this down, like I said, to the bottom of that bubble. I got to get on the bottom of that bubble if I want to make it disappear. So be able to scratch it on the bottom so that I can pour over top and have things be as clear and perfect as I want them. With my ADHD and OCD, it's a game every time, and it's always fun. So I'm always, even on projects that I think are completely finished, I have them on Etsy sometimes. Someone will buy it and I will have it ready, and then I'm like, oh snap, I gotta do a better polish on it, you know. So I see one little imperfection, and then I go back and try to, you know, fix that small imperfection that maybe I hadn't seen before. But that's just how my brain works. So what we're doing is we're taking this down to 60. So we're trying to get under the bubbles. And then we're going to then I'm going to take it back in, and we'll do the sand, and we'll do the seal coat. Tonight we'll do the seal coat because I want people to see it. It's been a couple in the series, but this thing's got some really cool color, and it's a neat design technique that I like, and I'm going to carry it over to some other things that I do with epoxy, and then we'll get into showing, and we'll get into talking about how I did it, and which is the fun part, and how you do something like this. So I like to do, when I do charcuterie boards, I like to do something, you know, I try to do something a little different each time. I'm normally not the person to do the same thing 300 times. I'm the guy that once I've done something, conquered it, and I know that technique, I know I can do it, so my brain says, okay, you're allowed to move on to the next thing. So boom, I'm on to the next project. So right now I have 6 different series going. I've got one on milling that I'll be putting on YouTube. I have one on tips and tricks and epoxy fixing, doing charcuterie boards, specialty type charcuterie boards. I don't usually do the typical swirls. And then we'll talk about making epoxy cubes, how to vacuum, how to pressure pot, how to use the difference between epoxy and resin. A lot of people don't understand that when I cast, most of my castings, which is my favorite thing to do, which is make the cubes, and we'll get into a whole series on that. But hey, what's up, Bearded Burton? What's up, guys? Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody. But like I said, this is the 5th part in the series, but I was just talking about casting. And when you're casting, you're using a different, you're not using a resin, or I mean, you're not using an epoxy, you're using a resin. Resin is a different chemical compound and acts differently than epoxy. What everybody's pouring and swirling in charcuterie boards is epoxy. What I usually use in my cubes is a casting resin, which is a slightly different chemical contact or chemical compound, which people get kind of confused. They say resin for epoxy as a general name for the product, and resin should actually not be in that. It should be in in its own category. But we'll get into talking about that. We'll get into learning about that, because I'm ready to teach a lot of the techniques that I've learned over the years in doing this. Hold on one second, I gotta throw for my dog. She's incensed with the ball, so when she drops the ball at my feet, I throw. Because she helps. They were good in the crew's all here this morning. Daisy, Molly, and Noodle. They're all running around. You can see. Here's Daisy Ray. She just dropped her ball off. I'll get better with the camera. I'm horrible with the camera, but she just dropped her ball off for a throw delivery. What she does when she gets tired, she'll lay down and get some water in the back here. But it's actually nice today. So we'll get into talking about all kinds of different things. If anybody has any questions, you can always throw questions out in the comments, or DM me, and I will write them down and I'll put it to the next part of the series, and we will address the questions, and maybe toward the end of like each series I'll do a little answer question, and we can talk about the questions that you guys have. I want to demystify some of the epoxy stuff, the questions that are going around and stuff. Is it safe? You know, can I pour, you know, without a respirator and all this stuff? And it's that's just part of the process. You have to start to understand epoxy, you know, and the more you experiment with it, the more you understand it.